minute. I thought we were over on YouTube. It's moving just a little slowly, so let's give them an opportunity to catch up. All right. All right. Now that we're all caught up, good afternoon to all of those who are joining us too on YouTube. So we're starting off today. Welcome. It's our last session, and we're doing it the way we've done all the others. But today it's so nice. We're going to be doing 2 brain teasers. So I'm giving a minute for each one, and then I'm going to put it on the screen. Write down your little evidence. We're talking about wealth management. So today I found working out for you. And so write your little working out, and then you'll be able to type your answers in the chat on Zoom, on YouTube. And as we go along throughout the session, we'll be checking the answers and contacting you to find out if you have your evidence. We are nurses. Evidence is what we do. So if you are ready, let me start sharing my screen. All right. And then let's go to the first brain teaser. All right. No cheating. I have to start the time. So if everybody's able to see, let me make sure nothing is in your way. All right, so 1 minute starts right now. Go for first brain teaser. Can you all see the screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, time is up, time is up. Pencils down, so go on to the next one. Are we ready? Let me move this just in case it's in your way. Is everybody able to see the screen clearly? All right, so the time starts right now. Go for brain teaser number 2. All right, and time is up. Wonderful. So I'm going to repeat. You would have been working it out, so keep that little working out with you. But now you're going to go right ahead in the chat, on Zoom, on YouTube, and you're gonna put your answers. So put your answer, brain teaser 1, put your answer, and brain teaser 2. Then you go right ahead and put your answers, and we'll be checking as we go along. Now, with that being said, I will hand you over. This afternoon, we have our member, Ms. Frenica Delvo, who's from the Bahamas, and she's going to be moderating for us 3 wonderful sessions, presentations we'll be having. And so without further ado, right over to you, Frenica.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. My name is Frenica Delvo, and I am delighted to be your moderator for this last installment, well, last for now, installment of the webinar series. Okay, so shout outs to Sigma Theta Taus, Omega Kappa chapter for this great achievement so far. So today we will be talking about wealth management. And I don't know about you, but when I hear money, I come running. Okay, so I want to be where the money resides. All right, so I think all of us can benefit, especially in this climate, from getting tips, pros and cons, do's and don'ts in terms of how to manage our money, because a little bit goes a long way these days. Okay. So before we get started with that, I want to go through some of the rules. One of them being, and I've seen someone already put their full name in the chats. So we're asking you to make sure that your full name is represented on your Zoom as well as in the YouTube forum. Make sure your full name is represented. Help us help you. Okay. The next thing is we ask that your videos remain off for the duration of the presentations, our 3 presentations. It just helps things to be a little bit more efficient in terms of internet connection. Okay. The next thing is we ask, please, as much as possible, try to keep your mics muted for the duration of the sessions. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. During our questioning and answer sessions, you are free to raise your hands using Zoom. Okay, so you can find your hand raising emoji should be somewhere at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and only unmute when your name is called, or you can submit your questions in the chats on YouTube as well as on Zoom, and we will read your submissions out loud for our presenters. Okay, so without further ado, let's start off with a little quote by legendary comedian Chris Rock. Wealth is not about having a lot of money. It's about having a lot of options. And so starting us off with our banking options and talking about banking solutions is Miss Lavany Smart McFarlane. So let me tell you a little bit about Miss McFarlane. Lavany Smart McFarlane was born in Portland, is a premium relationship officer at Scotia Bank, Constant Spring Financial Center since February 2020. She has been working with Scotiabank for over 15 years. She holds a Bachelor's of Applied Science degree in Hospitality Administrations from Southern New Hampshire University and an Associate of Science degree from the College of Agriculture, Science, and Education. Lavany has been married for over 10 years and can be described as a dedicated, willing, and hardworking individual. She is a firm believer of treating everyone with respect, no matter the class, sex, or age, and that she can achieve all things through Christ. Lavany sounds like a nurse. So help me welcome OKers and audience, Ms. Lavany Smart McFarlane, to speak to us on banking solutions. Ms. McFarlane.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be in this forum to discuss with you banking solutions and how these solutions can assist you with your financial needs. So in this presentation, I will be covering how at Scotiabank we can assist you with your day-to-day needs, your savings, your personal financial needs, as well as achieving that major financial goal that you might have.
Ms. McFarlane, your mic went out.
I'm sorry, are you hearing me now?
Yes, perfect.
Great. I'm not sure where I got cut off, but the presentation, I'll be doing your day-to-day needs, your savings, as well as your personal financial needs, and covering how you can achieve your major financial goals. So at Scotiabank, we give you options, and we like to start at the foundation. And the foundation for us is for you to have a savings plan. Now, the savings plan is important because for you to achieve that major financial step, such as purchasing a motor vehicle or buying a home, you have to have savings, and this helps with your down payment as well as your fees. So we start with the day-to-day needs. Now, the day-to-day needs, that is for your expenses, and the savings, that is for your short-term and your long-term goal. So let me just bring this up. All right. So your day-to-day account, what is that? This account facilitates your everyday transaction and for your expenses such as your salary deposits, your supermarket purchases, your petrol purchases, as well as your bill payments. And the minimum that you would need to start this account is $5,000. Now, for the savings account, this account is designed for your short, medium to long-term savings goal, as well as for any emergency that you might have. So you start saving for the down payment for the motor vehicle or your house. If you have expected or unexpected vehicle maintenance, your medical bills, vacation plans, as well as tuition fees. And in order to start this savings account is also $5,000. So we will educate you about separating your expenses for your day-to-day and putting away savings for the savings account for any long-term, short-term, medium-term goals that you might have. Now, what is great is that we have our online banking platform. And this is where you can do your everyday transactions. So if you want to set up that savings plan, you can do that online. So you have the day-to-day account, and whatever amount you want to set over on a monthly or weekly basis, you can go ahead and set that up online, and that is free. And what is also great is that once you have an account here at Scotiabank and your information is up to date, you can go online and open an account for yourself. You don't have to come in the bank to do that. So you have that freedom and convenience to do all that transaction online. Now, in life, we all have a goal, and that goal is to achieve a major financial need, and that would be either for your personal need, as I mentioned earlier, or a car or a mortgage. So the solution for your personal financial need is a Scotia Plan loan. Now, this facility is designed to take care of any personal need you have, and it assists with financing such as tuition fees, medical bills, home improvement projects, consolidation of expenses that you might have, as well as furniture purchase. And our current interest rate is at 6.5%, and it's for 5 years. So I like to give you scenarios for you to see how this solution can work for you. So Ms. Jones recently finished nursing school, and she has been working at the Kingston Public Hospital for the past 7 months. She would like to purchase some furniture as well as some appliances for her newly rented space for it to feel more like home, right? And she also had some outstanding tuition fees, but she really wanted just one payment each month. She didn't want to have to cover the tuition fees as well as covering the furniture expenses. So to transform her space, as well as to pay off the tuition fees, everything came up to about $1.2 million. So she came to us at Scotiabank, and we were able to give her this amount plus a credit card for any unforeseen expenses that she might have. So this is what it looked like. $1.2 million at 16.5%, and her monthly payment was $29,501. So there you see that she was saving, because instead of having the tuition paid for and the furniture and appliances, we combined all of that. So she was able to have one monthly payment, and the excess that she would have, she would then put that in her savings account for whatever plans she might have for the future. Now, for the credit card, she was offered the one that is called the MasterCard Gold, and it offers you cash back. So while you are spending, you are earning. So you would have that as more spending power. For your credit cards, there are some benefits of a credit card, and this is, it helps you to build your credit history for larger purchases such as loans or your mortgages. The credit card also increases your spending power, and it helps you to cover expected and unexpected expenses, and it allows family members to enjoy the convenience, privileges, benefits of the card. Now, how do you manage the credit card? Because a lot of times we get the credit card and we do not manage it well, and it affects our credit history. And that is one thing as a financial institution we look at, because once you have a satisfactory credit history, then we would love to lend to you. So managing your credit card is by always honoring your monthly payment dates. So you have a credit card and you get your statement, and it says on the 25th of each month, you should pay 5% of whatever you're owing. Honor that date. You can pay before or you can pay on the date. Because if you pay after the date, what will happen is that interest will apply on whatever balance that you have, and you will also attract a late fee. And we don't want that, because what we are looking at is saving our funds for our major financial goal. Do not overspend. Always have a monthly budget. And when you are working, you need to know your salary. You have an idea of what the salary is and how much your expenses would be. So you have a budget to tell yourself that I am going to stay within this budget. So the credit card is like a mediator for you to just stay within that budget. Don't go overboard, because you will find that you're putting yourself in debt. Only do cash advances when you have an emergency. Now, cash advances, if this is when you pull funds directly from the credit card, and this is only for emergencies. Why? Because once you pull from the credit card, that interest rate is much higher than if you use it for your regular point of sale purchases. And you're usually given a grace period for interest not to be applied to whatever you spend on the credit card. And once you do the cash advance, that grace period goes through the window and the interest starts calculating on a daily basis. So you want to only do that if you have a dire emergency. And you should try to pay more than the minimum payment. So when you get your statement, you are going to be given an amount that you pay for the month. And it's 5% of whatever you owe. It's good to pay that amount, but if you have more, it is recommended to do that, because you realize that you will be lowering your balance quickly. So the interest that is applied will be less over a period of time. So another personal need that this Scotia Plan loan will cover is the need for you to purchase your motor vehicle. And I am sure this is something that a lot of us would love to do and have done for ourselves. So currently at Scotiabank, we have auto loan specials for our new cars at 7% and for our used cars at 8.5%. And what is tremendous is that we are giving you 50% off on our processing fees, as well as 2% cashback to you. How does this work? Again, Mr. Brown, he has been driving his father's car, and now he would like a car for his own. So he went to a car dealer and he fell in love with a 2018 Toyota Mark X purchase price of $3.8 million. Now, this is something that he has been saving for a while now. And remember, we have to build our foundation by saving, because whatever goal that we have in the future, we need that cushion to assist us with a down payment as well as for our fees. So because he has been saving for this goal, he was able to save $1 million towards his down payment as well as his fees. And because of that, we were able to assist him to purchase the car of his dreams. Sorry, so $3.8 million. He borrowed $3 million instead because he put $800,000 towards the down payment, and the rest he left for his fees. And the good thing is that his fees would come up to $52,000. But because of the cash back, we gave him $60,000 back in his pocket, $60,000 back. So he got a credit of $8,000 in his pocket. So that money didn't actually go towards the fees. It went back to his savings so that he could use it for his future plan, which might be to purchase his home. But the only thing is that this offer, it ends May 15, 2021. But usually, time and time again, we do have offers for customers who are looking to, have that need, that the auto loan need or the mortgage need. We do have offers on a time-to-time basis for that. So it is also a pleasure for us to take you on the journey or assist you on the journey to your new home. And I know that is something that is major for most of us. And a lot of times it takes a lot of planning and savings because it is an expensive step. So at Scotiabank, it is our pleasure to assist you on this journey. And what is great is that now it is also a buyer's market because we see it everywhere, newly constructions going up, apartment buildings and stuff like that. And then there is NHT that the interest rate is much lower. So it offers a great opportunity for joint financing. Now, when you are doing your mortgage, the interest rate now is at 6.99%, and we are giving you 50% off as well as a 3% cash back. We normally give up to 95% financing, as well as interest rate that is as low as 6.99%, and we give you 30 years to repay. Now, for the mortgage, it takes a little bit more in terms of your savings because you should have that 5% down payment as well as your fees. Now, for the fees, it is usually estimated that for the mortgage is 5% of whatever you are borrowing, the amount that you are borrowing. You have to take in consideration the agreement of sale, and that is also at a percentage, 0.4% plus GCT, and that is usually shared between the buyer as well as the seller. Also, you have stamp duty costs, and that was previously 4% of the property that you are buying. However, now it is at a flat rate of $5,000, which is good. You have transfer tax, and that is 5% of the property value. Well, that was 5%, and now it's reduced to 2%. You have registration fees. You also have legal fees because you will then need a lawyer to assist you with transacting the sale. And this is usually at 3% plus your GCT. And you also have to bear in mind that when you are doing a mortgage, there is a valuation that has to be done on the property, as well as what you call a surveyor's ID report. And that is also at a cost to you. So again, you see why it is important to build that foundation, to start saving from early, to minimize your expenses, because you need to have that extra cushion whenever you are ready to purchase your home. So let me give you a scenario as to what this would look like. So Mr. and Mrs. Carpenter, they just got married and they would love to purchase their starter home. They have been saving for this big step and now would love to know the price range for the home that they would qualify for, and they are also using their NHT benefits. They came to us and we assessed their salaries, their current liabilities, and a comfortable monthly payment. This information, after the assessment, it concluded that they would qualify for a property costing $30 million, and we issued what is called a pre-qualification letter, and it states the following. So the purchase price, $30 million, the money that they have saved up, the 5%, would be $1.5 million. And the mortgage amount would be 22 from Scotiabank side and 6.5 from NHD. And you know the rates would be different due to what NHD is giving as opposed to what Scotiabank is giving, and the term 30 years. So when we did all of that, we realized that their monthly payment would be $177,000, $250.82. Now, after we issue the pre-qualification letter, this allows you now to comfortably go to your realtor and having the conversation, because now you see how much you are qualified for and you have the ease of mind because you know what to look for, and you can now speak to your lawyer in order to get things started. So I mentioned earlier that the fees that you have to take into consideration, another one is your peril insurance. Now, the peril insurance is mandatory because it protects the property from any damages. And you should also consider life and health insurance, and this protects you and your family in the event of any covered unforeseen circumstances. Right. So again, I'm just going to reiterate the fees that would apply. Mortgage fees, 5%, agreement of sale, 0.4%, stamp duty now flat rate of $5,000. You have transfer tax, 2%, registration fee, 0.5%, legal fees, 3%, and the valuators and surveyors costs. So we do realize that putting your money aside is very important, because all of this would now come into play and you would have to find these funds out of pocket in order to assist you. But what is great is that because of the offerings that we now have at Scotiabank, we are giving you a 50% waiver on this application fee and the 3% cashback. So Mr. and Mrs. Brown, even though their fee was for $987,510, the 3% cashback was $855,000. So in essence, Mr. and Mrs. Carpenter, they only paid $132,000 for all the fees. So you know where that extra funds went. It went back to them, and now they can use it to furnish whatever they have to buy for their new home. So Scotiabank, we are here to assist you with all of that. And building the foundation, I cannot stress it enough, is very important. So how do you start all of this when you are ready? So the savings account, your credit card, and your Scotia Plan loan, as well as your mortgages. There are some documents that we would ask you to take into us, and that would be your salary slips, a job letter, identification, whether a passport or a driver's license, your TRN, and proof of address. If you are currently not employed, then we would take an acceptance letter from the institution that you're with for the accounts only. But once you are ready to start any credit with us, we have to have your salary slips, at least 3 months, the job letter, identification, and proof of your address. So we are here to provide you with all the solutions and all the advice that you are going to need in order to make the best banking solution that there is. And these solutions that I have presented to you, they are very beneficial in order for you to achieve whether your short-term goal or your long-term goal. And I am just a phone call away. So if you need any assistance or any questions, please feel free to give me a call. My number is there on the screen. You can jot it down and contact me if you have any questions or no, because I know that you might have some. So I am here ready to answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mark McFarland. So we're going to open up the question and answer segment. Like I said, you can raise your hand in Zoom, or you can type your message in the chat. Same thing with YouTube, and we will read those submissions. So while we wait on some questions to pop up, I just wanted to read off a quote because I liked what you said about budgeting. And we as nurses, mostly a predominantly female profession, a lot of times we have an obscure budget in our mind, but we don't stick to it. It's not written down anywhere. You know, we just kind of feel like maybe we overspent, or, you know, maybe we're within budget. And I just want to read this quote by Mr. Dave Ramsey. A budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. And I don't know who else feels that, but that hit me to the core, that budgeting. So I'm going to start off our questions. Since I don't see any hands, I have a question because, like I said, I'm about my money. So Ms. McFarland, some persons like to say to never keep all of your money in one spot. Is there some benefit to having several accounts? And how much accounts is too much accounts?
Right. So it is wise not to keep all your money in one spot. And earlier when I mentioned here, we have a separation in terms of how you would use your money on a regular basis, because you would have that funds that you would use for your everyday expenses, your day-to-day expenses. So we want you to separate that from the money that you have set aside for whatever long-term or short-term goal that you might have. So we are going to let you open a day-to-day account. We suggest that to you, that is separate from your savings account. And then from that day-to-day account, you would know how much is comfortable for you on a fortnightly or monthly basis. And you set that up and set that aside in your savings account. If you want to have more than one savings account, different currencies, you can do that as well. And you start your savings plan by doing that.
Okay, thank you. I see we have a question from YouTube, and it says, if you are already a customer of Scotia Bank, what would you need to start a new account?
If you are already a customer at Scotiabank, that means that we might have most of the documents that we need, but we always want to have your file up to date. So we would ask you to take in your last 2 months pay slips or a job letter. If you are a student, we would then ask you to take your acceptance letter or your student ID and your government issued ID, your TRN, and something to show the proof of address, such as your ID, if the address is there, or a utility bill.
Okay, I hope that answers your question. I have one more question while I wait to see if there are any final questions lurking. Okay, what other ways can we use to build credit aside from utilizing a credit card for those that don't really want to take on a credit card?
The credit card really is the main source to build your credit. But say, for instance, you do not want a credit card, you can start off with a personal loan. Like for Ms. Jones that just leaves school and started working, and she wanted to buy some furniture as well as some appliances for her rental property. You can start there. The minimum that we lend is $100,000. So that's a good way to start your building your credit history by purchasing some small personal items by taking out the Scotia Plan loan.
Okay, so small personal loans. Okay, thank you. I see another comment, another question and a comment. This question says, can I open my Scotia Bank account online?
You can open the Scotiabank account online if you are already a customer with us and the information that we have is up to date. But if you are new to Scotiabank, you would have to first come in branch for us to open the account, and then any account that you want to open afterwards, you can do that online.
Thank you. Are there any more? Someone commented, it is better to have two separate accounts. They're pretty much reiterating what you said. It's better to have two separate accounts if you wish to be saving towards a goal. One for day-to-day attached to your debit. So for those like me, always have their debit card on hand to swipe handily.
Right.
So one attached to that, and then a separate one for your savings, because we don't want to be dipping into that when we see sales.
Exactly.
Okay. If there are any more questions? No more questions? Okay, thank you so much, Ms. McFarland.
There's just one more from YouTube, but I'm just about to transfer it over. But since I'm open, let me go ahead and read it. It says, what is the interest rate on the various savings accounts that are offered?
Well, for the savings account, I can only speak to the ones that you open for your short-term goal. It's less than 1%, and it's also tiered based on the amount that you have in the account. So for that person, I would like for you to just give them my number, because then I would have to go through the different amounts to tell them the interest that would apply to the amount that they have in the account. But if they're looking for a better interest rate, I would suggest that they would start an investment account, and then that they will get greater returns on that if they're looking for something more long-term, because the savings account is really for your short-term goals. So the interest that is applied is not very high.
Okay, I hope that answers your question. Very nice. Okay, so thank you once again, Ms. McFarlane, on all of those banking solutions and options. And I hope that we take advantage of them, especially the guidelines on budgeting and how to handle that credit card.
Yes.
Stop credit card abuse. Thank you so much, Ms. McFarlane.
You are welcome. Thank you so much.
Before she goes, just one last one, because YouTube just does hear a little behind.
Oh,
somebody's asking, that's all right. Somebody's asking if you'd like to adjust a standing order that you already have. Are you able to do it over the phone or online, or do you need to go into the bank?
They would have to come in to adjust the standing order. They'd have to come in.
All right, I think that's it now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ms. McFarlane.
Thank you too. Thank you again, and have a good evening.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
All right, so we're going to keep the ball rolling. And that was a nice start to our session on wealth management. I'm sure you would agree. Next up, we have Miss Selena Chin that is going to talk to us about insurance options. Insurance. It cannot be stressed enough. So let me tell you a little bit about Miss Selena Chin. So Ms. Chin has climbed her way up the professional ladder to become one of the leading insurance advisors at Sagicor Life Jamaica. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She started her career in 2008, and in her tenure, she has improved from strength to strength each year. In her tenure, she has won over 100 trophies, awards and recognitions. She has broken 4 company records. And in 2007, she was named or nicknamed the GOAT, meaning greatest of all time This is because she continues to win many awards. And for the 9th year in a row, she has been recognized as the #1, not 2, y'all get it right, #1 advisor in the entire Jamaica for cases. A past student of St. Hugh's High School and the University of Technology, 2 institutions she is eternally grateful for, as they significantly helped to mold her into the person she is today. She is a fun, loving, disciplined, and God-fearing young lady that loves her career and the opportunity to serve over 3,000 clients. She states that one of the lines she lives by is set high standards and stick to your standards. One of the greatest moments in her life is when she had the opportunity to be an interviewee on a local program, Profile. She had grown up watching this television program, and to have gotten the chance to share her story with the world, renowned Ian Boyne, was life-changing. She continues to work hard and has now added motivational speaker to her profession. She loves every aspect of her profession, stating that the most powerful leadership tool she has in her own is her own personal example. Thank you for your time and for listening to that very empowering profile on Ms. Chin. And so without further ado, I will welcome the woman, the legend herself, Ms. Selena Chin.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is hearing me clearly. I must first say, thank you. I must first say thank you to the Omega Kappa chapter for allowing me to share with you this afternoon. It is truly an honor, and I hope everyone and their families are doing fine, even though we're going through a global pandemic. So let's get right into it. I'm going to be sharing a screen now. Can somebody just let me know that if they're seeing my screen?
Yes,
Thumbs
your
up?
screen is seen. Yes.
Beautiful. So as mentioned, I'm Selena Chin, and I'll be sharing with you today about wealth management. Now, how is it that we're going to be managing something if we don't know what it means? So let's look at what the definition of wealth is. Now, wealth in the broad definition is just an abundance of valuable possessions or money. From a mathematical point of view, wealth is basically your assets minus your liabilities. So it's basically what you own minus what you owe. Personally, I believe that wealth is financial independence. And I'll go a step further as to explain what financial independence is. So when you have reached a place where you are no longer stressed about money and feel at peace, that is financial freedom. Financial independence, in an essence, is the status of having enough income to pay one's living expense for the rest of one's life without having to be employed or dependent on any other source. So far, so good? Everybody with me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure we all have a clearer understanding of what financial independence is and what wealth is. So let's get into the rigmarole. You see this chart right now, all over the place. Let's get into the rigmarole of managing our wealth, but not only managing it, but acquiring that financial, those financial assets. All right. Oh. Oops. All right. So you see, with your wealth or with your financial status, there are different stages. And irrespective of what stage you're in, I want to point out some key factors. So just like how life have cycles and stages, so too does your finance. For example, you have what is called the beginners. Then you have persons who are in the middle. And of course, you have those persons who are advanced in the whole scheme of wealth and wealth management. Now, what I want to point out at this time is 2 very important points. And I'm going to go as slow as possible because I want persons to understand, because this presentation ties into each slide. Now, you see, with your financial status or your financial wealth, 2 things I want you to understand. The first being, your financial status is not permanent. So let me say that slow. So irrespective of where you are, a beginner, in the middle, or even at an advanced stage, it is not permanent. So let's look at a beginner, for instance. If a person is at the beginning stage of wealth creation, they might be tempted, depending on what age, to think, you know what, I'm going to give up, it's not for me, and the list goes on and on. No, that's a wrong point of view. Even if you're a beginner, if you put the necessary decisions and steps in place, you can move yourself from a beginner to a middle to an advanced stage of wealth. The key is to recognize where you are, identify where you'd like to be, and employ the necessary steps or formula to get there. Same thing for a middle person. If you're in the middle where you're still figuring it out, you have a grasp on things, you can enjoy a certain quality of life, you're not financially independent yet, but you can send the child to prep school, you can fund the child going to college, but if a serious emergency happens, you kind of still shaky, you're kind of in the middle, the same principles apply. Once you know where you are, where you want to go, you can employ the necessary steps to take you there. So no financial status is permanent. And last, even if you're an advanced person in the whole wealth scheme, don't get too complacent because it is not permanent. You can make a series or even just one bad decision and go right back to being a beginner. So guys, please pay attention that your financial status is not permanent, and do not make permanent decisions in a temporary situation. All right. The next thing I want to point out about your financial status is that persons place more emphasis in watching or envying other persons based on their financial status versus pouring that energy in themselves in order to move themselves from one stage to the next. Another thing that I've discovered is that if you ask a person who is, say, in the early stage of wealth creation or the middle stage, if they would be willing to sacrifice the same time and effort as someone who is advanced, most times the answer is no. So what you find is that a lot of persons want the results of wealth, but don't want to do the work that is necessary in order to create that wealth. And that is ludicrous, persons. If you want to reach a certain stage, you have to be willing to do the work. Do not envy somebody else that is on their trajectory, moving up the ranks, and you're not willing to put in the same, if not more, effort into establishing yourself on those levels. So in a sense, what this chart that you're looking at is saying is two things. And if you remember nothing else I say today, remember this. When you're talking about financial independence and wealth management, two very key points you need to remember is one, in order to create this atmosphere, you have to increase your income and decrease your expenses. That's how you can manage to move from one stage to the next. So far, so good. Somebody give me a thumbs up. Claire, hearing me? Okay, good. Now, what I want you all to realize, with all of that preaching that I just put down, there's no secret to success or wealth creation. There is a system. Now, I was fortunate enough a long time ago to be a part of a presentation just like this, but in a physical setting. You know, we're working with what's the new normal. And a young man was teaching us how he solved a Rubik's Cube. So for anyone who has ever attempted to solve a Rubik's Cube, you know how challenging it can be. But the young man made one very profound statement, and it stayed with me from that day until now. And he said, listen, once you know the formula, the steps, the sequence, it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you go, you will always get the desired results. So even to reiterate what I was saying before, don't pay attention to somebody else on their journey. Pay attention to yourself. Work out your formula. Work out your steps. Look at your resources that you have at your availability and decide how you can use them to move yourself from one stage to the next, or to maintain the stage that you're currently at. Now, I want you to really look at this slide. And it says, your income can grow only to the extent that you do. A lot of times persons don't realize that they're their own worst enemy. And the reason they are not advancing at the level or at the in the time that they would like it, at the level and at the time that they would like it, is because of their decisions. I hope somebody understanding me. So let me give you, I like to use examples when I speak so that you can understand better what I'm trying to get across. I remember when I was trying to buy my first home. So when I got the job at Sagicor, where I'm currently working 10, 12 years ago, when I got the job first, as I get the job, I want to buy a house. That's just how ambitious I was. So as I get the little work, I want to buy a house. And because I wasn't in a position to buy the house cash, I'd have to lean to something that you heard about earlier, a loan, such as the young lady was talking about from Scotia. So for a lot of us, in order to acquire these assets that we want to, we have to lean to what is called assistance or loans. Nothing is wrong with a loan. It's just how you manage it. All right. I went to a bank and I said to them, listen, I am trying to buy a house. What would be the requirements? And they walked me through the steps. I can clearly remember that I kept on being rejected, not because of me, it wasn't a personal thing. So say for instance, I went to the Scotia rep that just spoke a while ago. She would have given me the official talk to say, listen, it's not that this is not anything personal. However, your income does not qualify you to get the loan. No, I'm so appreciative of NHT. I encourage anyone to ensure that you are an NHT contributor. Why? There are a lot of benefits that they have to offer. However, for an average Jamaican to look at an average priced home, the individual, so more than one person, yes, but one individual qualifier at NHT most times cannot purchase a home on their own. When they look at what NHT gives them and what the cost of the house is, one qualifier standing alone cannot purchase it. I was that one qualifier. So they were encouraging me, the bank rep, the loan officer was encouraging me to, one, grow my income, or two, to find someone that I could group up with in order to acquire the property or acquire a property. I hadn't identified one. No, you see, when you're deliberate in your decisions, let me tell you what happened. I realized I didn't qualify, and it wasn't anything personal. Most time persons find themselves in a situation, they sit down and spend most energy complaining, watching the other person, and the list goes on and on. Redirect that energy. I simply redirected my energy and spent 2 years doing two very deliberate goals, doing two goals deliberately. And one was to grow my income, and two was to secure the down payment. Within 24 months, I was able to do that and was successful in my attempt. And of course, I did manage to qualify for the loan. And of course, I did purchase the home. So you have to realize in life, don't complain. Find the way, find the formula, find the solution, because you have to realize that your wealth, your lifestyle, what you can acquire will only grow if you grow. So let's talk about growing. Remember I said earlier, you focus on two things. One, increasing your income. Two, decreasing your expense. All right? Now, let me talk about the different ways that you can earn an income. The first one we want to talk about is that of passive income. Passive income is very, very, very good. This is actually the income source that I love the most. And maybe that is why the most billionaires come from this source of income, which is passive income. This has generated the most billionaires in comparison to the other two that I will later outline. Now, what is passive income? Passive income is the income earned from real estate and businesses. And as I said before, this is the avenue that has the most, or created the most billionaires. Now, let me piggyback on the example that I gave you earlier to give you a timeline of how this thing works. Now, the property that I bought in almost about 7 years, property that I bought, when I bought it, so let me give you a breakdown, let me do the maths together. The property that I bought was valued 13 million. I had successfully saved up 2 million and used that as my down payment for the property. So I had a balance of 11.5 million. At the time, the maximum that was being awarded by NHT to any one qualifier was 5.5. I got that 5.5 and I had a balance now of 5.5. Although I didn't use Scotia, I still got a bank loan from Sagicor because we have Sagicor Bank too. And when I got the loan, I was able to acquire, got my key, lovely, happy girl, own my own property, first one. Good? Now, let me show you how passive income works. 7 years later, I can decide if I want to rent that property, lease that property, operate or start a business and operate a business from that property and earn an income from that property. And also on the flip side, let me show you the beautiful thing about passive income also. Let's say, all right, recently during COVID, somebody two doors up from me, unfortunately fell on some hard time and the bank was considering to repossess. And so they had to send a valuator to the property to find out what is the new value of the property, because it's not the same time that the person bought it that they fell into this hardship. Anyways, how fortunate for me, the person who was sent to value the property is also a good friend of mine. He linked me up and he said, Chin, you don't over your place, somebody and give me the little profile. I said, for real? I said, oh my. Days later, I contacted him and I said, curiosity, how much is the value of the property? Now, this is something that is in another property that is in close proximity to me, basically structured the same way. So it's good to assume in this case that it would basically value the same amount. I said, curiosity, what is the value of that property? He said anywhere between 20 to 25 million dollars. Now, anybody, you don't have to be a genius to realize what I'm trying to say to you. I bought the property for 13 million. It's now valued, it's almost doubled in value. So if I decide to get up tomorrow and sell the property that I bought many years ago, I would be able to pay off the loans that I have on it and still leave with a substantial amount of money. That's passive income. It can move you very fast in your journey or in your wealth creation and management journey. All right, so that is how passive income works. The other income is called portfolio income. Now, this is where you earn from stocks and bonds and other papers. Earlier, it was mentioned that you can have regular savings account or you can have an investment account. So a regular savings account do not yield you as much as an investment account, but it gives you access. An investment account takes much more sacrifice because you have to leave the money and resist the temptation to touch it. But in the long run, you realize you will earn more. So portfolio income really speaks about earning from those investment tools. All right. Now, for those of you who don't know this gentleman in the photo, this is Warren Buffett. All right. He used this method, portfolio income, to turn himself in a billionaire, forgive me, see? A billionaire from the age of 30 through portfolio income. Now, what is even more amazing is that I'm telling you about maintaining. He practiced such good wealth management that he was able to maintain his status. And today, at age 90, he's still one of the richest persons in the world. Now, that was phenomenal. Once somebody posed a question to Mr. Buffett and asked him if what are some of the drawbacks with this generation? And he said, listen, we have this instant attitude. He said that persons in this generation, he finds it more challenging to work with them. Why? Because they want this instant results, instant gratification. He says he would like to take persons on a 7 to 10 year journey and show them how they can not only create, but maintain wealth. It's not a quick overnight thing, it's an overtime thing. All right? The third way to earn is called earned income. And you know what is the unfortunate thing? Majority of us only know this source of income. This source of income has the highest tax rate of all three income. And the other unfortunate thing is that this is the only method that is taught in school. So when we go to school, we hear, get a good education, graduate, and get a good job. That's basically the formula majority of us, I know I got it, and I'm sure a lot of persons can agree that that's the formula that they were given while growing up. Now, we've looked at all three sources of income. Now, I love talk my story. My story is the only thing I know inside and out. I am a person who will take advantage of all three options. Why do so many persons believe you can only have one source of income? Why are we so loyal to one source of income? We need to find a way to create multiple sources of income, and we can take advantage of all three that I just outlined. I know I'm in the middle. So I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. And it's only a matter of time that I will advance. And I'm happy to see that I'm on that journey. And I encourage each and every one of you, because you can do it. Anybody can do it. It's not reserved. It's not an exclusive club only for a certain caliber or a certain type of persons. A lot of persons have done it. It's just that for the ones who haven't done it, they have not decided to employ the resources or the thought pattern to reach these levels. They just haven't decided and put the steps in place. So I encourage everyone on this platform today, put yourself in check. This is a check, checkpoint. It's a wake-up call. It can be done. The life that you would love to live for you and your family, it can be acquired, but you just have to be willing to put in the work to get it. Now, so we spoke about the income, increasing income side, and I've shown you the different ways that you can increase your income. Now, let's talk about the reducing expense side. All right, now, for those of you who can see, don't have your debt rise faster than your income. Whenever I sit in front of certain clients, I'm so amazed, and I'll show you why I'm amazed. The typical profile of a person, let me give you. They come to me and I'll ask, what are your income avenues, or what sources of income do you currently have? You have any passive income? No. Any portfolio income? Well, I have one like a $10,000 going on a Scotia account at one time, but Lord, little interest small, and then cost and cost and cost. All right. Earned income. Yes, I have a 9-to-5 job, and this is a source that they're heavily dependent on, or solely dependent on most of the time. That's one side of the story. The other side, no, the expense side. When I look at the loans, I said house, loan, car, loan, credit card, loan, personal, loan. Now, when you do a comparison, yes, the little savings account that you have is yielding small interest, but it's better to be earning interest than paying interest. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. You realize that I'm glad the Scotia rep went before me. You realize that for every loan you have, there is a significant amount that has to be paid in terms of interest rate. You have to pay some extra. You have to pay for the convenience of getting the loan. Now, most of us spend more emphasis cutting the small interest that we gain. But in comparison, when you look at our salary, when you look at what we're spending comparing to what we're actually putting aside for earning potential, they're not in the same bracket. So your expenses even sometimes surpass your monthly income. And then you wonder why certain decisions or certain benefits you're not able to take advantage of. You need to really prioritize and look at your whole spending habits. And that will bring me to my next slide. So this is just reiterating what I said earlier. Guys, ensure that just as, and don't get me wrong, I have loans. My first property was bought on a loan. My second, but I manage my loans very well. I'm not saying that you must have loans. I'm just saying ensure that the loan is working to create a source of income for you. Because a lot of us would prefer to pay more interest and gain more interest. And that's all that this slide was saying by Albert Einstein. Now, I want to share a true story with you. This is my client and I. His name is Shavar Harris. He was a firefighter. At 29 years old, he unfortunately had a near fatal accident, car accident, and he broke his neck twice, or in 2 places. From that day till now, he cannot move anything from the neck down. Now, why am I sharing his story with you? After he experienced the accident, his source of income before the accident was one, earned income. As I said, he was a firefighter. After he had the unfortunate accident, that source of income was completely cut off, severed. He cannot fulfill the duties that is needed to be a firefighter anymore. And as such, he would no longer be employed as a firefighter. Because, thank God, because he had an insurance policy, although small, and he wished it was more, he was able to use the funds from that insurance policy and take advantage of the other two sources of income, which is portfolio insurance and portfolio income and passive income. He had suffered what is called a financial dilemma. When you have an accident and you can no longer work, or not in an accident, when you're in a position that you can no longer work, you will experience what is called a financial dilemma. A financial dilemma is when your income goes down, the reverse of what I've been preaching. Your income goes down and your expenses goes up. And if you don't have multiple sources of income, you might not even be able to move yourself from day to day because it costs to live. Now, why am I sharing this story with you? Two reasons. One, put your financial house in check. Do not operate as if, some of us operate as if we think we have forever. One of our most valuable assets, and we don't realize it, is time. We don't have forever to do what we need to do. So get yourself in check. And second, I couldn't be me without saying it, but second, you need to ensure you have insurance for those unfortunate and unpredictable situations. Now, as I said, my name is Selena Chin, but my only competitor, and I love to use this line, is debt, disability, critical illness, old age, and now COVID-19. My job is to get to you before one of them does. I hope I will have the opportunity to speak with each and every one of you on an individual basis if you require my service. But I thank you so much for your time, and I do hope you had learned something from today's presentation. All the best.
Miss Chin, if you could have heard my mic, thank God for the mic muted because I was having church over here. I was like, yes, that's right. Amen. On point. Thank you for your passionate delivery and instruction. I enjoyed the personal touch that you put on it in terms of what you went through and how you recognized where you were, laid out a plan and executed it. Now, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, if you don't have any questions, you had better start writing. Okay, you had better start writing because this was valuable information. If you missed a part of it, please go back to the page once we are done and play it over. Okay, wealth management. I particularly like how you said financial status is not permanent. Sorry, I didn't realize my video was off. Our financial status is not permanent. So even when you get money or you get to a place that you feel that you are a bit stable, now you have to work to keep it. Okay, so there's a quote here that matches up with what you said, and it's the author is unknown. It says, "You can't have $1 million dream with a minimum wage work ethic." Hello. Okay, so we have some work to do. We have to keep those questions coming. Start putting them in the box. I'm going to get to them. I'm going to let them build up, especially for for our YouTube audience. Okay, but definitely we have some work to do. I work with graduate nurses, new nurses, as they come out of school, as they make that transition to becoming now a charge nurse. And I'm no financial genius, but I feel like we have to incorporate wealth management into our new nurses, because a big part of burnout, believe it or not, nurse burnout, is that frustration when you're putting your all in the clinical environment and you're not seeing it work for you in your personal life. Yes, there's gratification. Yes, you love what you do. Yes, we care. We love our patients and we love bringing about change. But when you go home now and you're exhausted and the bills are piled up, and that contributes to your frustration and your burnout. So we have to start somewhere. I like that you said this is a financial check, because this was checking me. This was checking me, and I was writing, and I need to get my sources of income up. I was working on some, but this was definitely right on time, right on time. So I'm going to go to our questions now. Someone says, can we have a small idea of what other policies are available besides life insurance from a company like Sagicor?
Well, the fortunate thing at Sagicor is that we do have a wide range of products and services. So in essence, what we really cover: life insurance in case of death, critical illness insurance in case of sickness, disability insurance in case of an unforeseen situation after an accident, and we do investments as well that takes care of the old age, the education fund for the child, the second purchase of a home down the road and you need that lump sum. So we have a wide range of products and services to cater to all needs. What you need to do is have the conversation so that a package or portfolio can be created for you.
Thank you. I hope that answers your question. We have a comment here. Ms. Lloyd is saying that the YouTubers are loving the presentation. They're clapping and cheering on. Excellent presentation. Like I said, very, very, very relevant. What are your thoughts, Ms. Chin, on making your dividends work for you?
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
A lot of times we like to, what's it called? We are consumers. We love to, it's like wealth or any assets. It's like it's hot. It's like we have, I don't know what's going on. We don't preserve. We don't strategize to say, not only do I want to be at this level now, but I want to be at a certain level later. We believe we get it now, we spend it now. So we're so heavy on that's why I say, if you look at an average person, I love my Jamaican people, but I work with Jamaican people. And if you look at an average person in terms of income comparing to spending, it's not what you earn, it's the decisions you make, it's how you spend that money. I'm going to give you a live example. I have clients who earn in excess of 400,000, for example, per month. And I have clients who earn 40,000 per month. And suppose I tell you, I have certain 40,000 clients who are so disciplined with their investment and saving that they're actually in a better financial position than someone who is earning in excess of 400,000, who is just spending, because he can go in any Scotia, any Sagicor and get any loan, any credit card, anything. He's just taking advantage and not maintaining and realizing or not managing his wealth to realize he's spending way in excess of what he's earning. So you have to really, guys, even managing your dividends, make sure you create a lifestyle for yourself and your generations to come. Do not get into this commerce, this everything on sale. You have to have it. You have 10 of the same shoes, 10 of the same dress, and you don't realize you're creating a pattern and you're teaching your children how to live this lifestyle as well. So change the small things and you'll change the large things.
Definitely. Good advice. I know I try to keep my dividends and don't touch them. I don't even think of them as being there. As far as I'm concerned, that does not exist until I, maybe get a what you call it, a summary that comes in the mail. I just glance at how much accumulated and I get rid of it because I don't want to be tempted. So we have to start making the sacrifices now. You also spoke about something a lot of us get focused on, what other persons are wearing, what our coworkers are doing, and what they are flashing. And I don't know if you use the term in Jamaica and in the Bahamas, we call that keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Okay. So you looking to see what the neighbor has, and now you got to get that. Okay, but your financial situation is completely different. And like you said, you can have somebody that earns more money, but their spending habits, okay, the spending habits is killing them. Okay, somebody says in the comments, we need to add these talks to our nursing curriculum in the final months of training. Wish I had this talk 20 years ago. Exactly. Like I said, yes.
I will show you something, Frederica. Sorry to cut you. I'm going to show you something. When I had decided, I wonder if I can still share screen. All right, when I had decided in my early 20s that I wanted to acquire a home, right? So this is one of the major events in my life, but I love what it taught me. It taught me that anything I want in this life, I can get. It's only how I make the small decisions. I remember when I heard the down payment, $2 million, I said, oh my God, where am I going to get that? And the discipline I had to employ to get that $2 million ended up making me a multi-millionaire and putting me in a position where most things that I work or want or need to acquire, I can do it. And I'll show you the formula. I remember when I decided to, so let me bring up my share screen. You see my calculator, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I had decided that, listen, I need 2 million by the end of 2 years. And I decided to just save 2,800 Jamaican dollars per month. Now, what I did, I used to put scenarios in my head. And this is one of the scenarios that I use. I used to say, listen, if I had 3 children going to school, and this is what it took to send all of them to school each day, I would find it. And we know that there are families who have 3 children. It's not abnormal to see a mother with 3 children. No, you don't see any parents saying, send 2 to school and keep 1 at home. No, we make the necessary sacrifices. We treat it with urgency. And that's where a lot of us blunder some of the times. We don't treat our financial lifestyle with urgency. So I pretended I had 3 children going to school, and this is what it took each day to send them to school and maintain them. And I did this for 2 years. So if we do it year by year, 365 days, in 1 year, I turned myself into a millionaire. I did it for 2 years straight. In 2 years, yes, it's still 12 and 12, 24 months. I turned myself into a multi-millionaire with money that I just considered. I stopped buying too much phone card. I start make sure I buy good shoes so them last longer. Small decisions, you know. I use the lunch for lunch and dinner. Things like that, small decisions. Most times I buy a pack of crackers and sometimes it gets thin, you know, because there's a whole heap of money when you add it up. Some days I remember weekends, I would buy a pack of crackers and a pack of ginger tea and put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in my handbag so that when the hungry box me at work, I'm not tempted to go buy something. I just pack up a tea, eat 5 crackers and not when die. I ain't gonna die. I'm still alive. It's a dead person talking to you. But the discipline that it brought out in me, it made me do so much afterwards. So I implore anybody, any goal that you have, let me stop sharing. Any goal, any dream, you just break it down in bite size and you can accomplish it.
Amen. Yes. Okay. If there are any final questions before somebody asks, sorry, Tanisha Sinclair says, excellent presentation. Corinne says, will it hurt to withdraw from the Sagigold accumulator?
If you withdraw too early, yes, you will be paying penalty. It's a long-term investment plan. Let it do the term. It doesn't make sense to be earning interest to pay it back in penalty. So you need to consult with your financial advisor and find out the time and how far along in the investment timeline you are.
Okay, and Miss Reed Matthews says she totally agrees with the concept of saving. If I'm paying back a loan, I've learned how to live without that payment. So when the loan is finished, I continue saving that money. Good one.
Very
Ms.
good
Matthews,
one.
yes.
Very good one.
Good tip. So if there aren't any more questions, I will close out this segment, this part with a quote from Warren Buffett. You mentioned Warren Buffett in your presentation. Do not save what is left after spending. Spend what is left after saving. Okay, and so that's
first.
Yes, so that's a personal favorite of mine. But thank you so much, Ms. Chin. We really enjoyed. Excellent
Just
presentation.
pick one for Nika.
Go ahead.
Just the comments over here, lots of clapping and awesomeness, but I'm guessing Selena may know what this means. Somebody says, excellent job, Swan. I'm very proud of you.
It's my alma mater, St. Hugh's. Swan represents my former school, St. Hugh's. I'm a Swan.
Oh,
there you go. All right.
So big up to the fellow Swan.
Right. Thank you so much. Awesome presentation. Glad to have you.
Me, guys. All the best.
All right. Okay, so we're going to keep this train on the tracks. We're going to keep rolling. And as you can see, fire presentations so far on banking options and solutions, on wealth management, and a little bit on insurance. And so we have our last dynamic speaker for the evening, Miss Lisa Marie Knight. So let me tell you a bit about Miss Knight. She likes this quote: "Find the game where you can win, and then commit your life to playing it, and play to win." With this quote in hand, Lisa Marie has been driven to not only remain competent, but teach others about financial literacy, discussing strategies, and providing sound support where will. For her, the foray into finance and investing only emboldened the desire to create wealth within her circles, which is a sound voice of reason. With a foundation in customer service and retention, Lisa Marie complements the focus of her team to build solid relationships and offer niche opportunities. Pleasant while professional, Lisa Marie is able to assimilate into varying environments and roles with the firm belief that if you're going to commit to a task, see it through. Okay, so without any further ado, we invite Ms. Lisa Marie Knight, and she's going to talk to us about one of those sources of income, okay, investment portfolios. Ms. Knight.
Hi, thank you so much. Let me first just say that I know after hearing Selena's presentation, like I don't want to go again. Like, let me just come off. It was an excellent presentation. It was on point, and I might beg her the presentation so I can like present it to my investment group. It was so on point. But yeah, hello everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Let me start off with a little bit more information about myself than what is in my bio. That is more of my professional bio and what a lot of people don't understand. I'm going to make my presentation short, mainly because I tend to get a lot more question and answers, have more time for the question and answer segment because of what my area is. So it's difficult. A lot of people find stocks and investing in the stock market difficult because they don't have a lot of background in it. And I don't have a background in finance. My background is tourism. I started in tourism very many years ago, and I spent 13 years in tourism. And I decided one year I was going to transition into finance. And I managed to do so. So if it is that you're concerned that, you know, I don't know where to start, I don't know how to do this, or if you're thinking, I'm not gonna listen to she because she don't understand, best believe I understand. So I'm going to share my screen and do a short presentation and then go into some of my more frequently asked questions during the presentation, and then we can ask more questions afterwards. And without further ado, here we go. All right, so I work at GK Capital. I am the wealth officer there. We are a small boutique firm, and because we are so small, we pretty much have our fingers dipped in many pies. So we do private equity, which means that persons who are investors, but they're not going to necessarily invest on the stock market, but they want to lend money to or invest in companies that are not listed. We also are the main investment area that Grace Kennedy will go through for their mergers, their acquisitions, and so on. So I'm pretty sure everybody knows who Grace Kennedy is, but that is there who we work for, right? What we do, we originate, advise, trade, manage, and raise capitals for institutions and individuals. Our work is done at the highest standard of excellence. So we have 4 components. We specialize in credit solutions, investment banking, brokerage and trading, investment management. Now, what each of these are is fancy words for the same thing. Credit solutions, we lend people money. Investment banking, if you want to borrow the money. Brokerage and trading, you give us money, we buy stocks. Investment management, we basically tell you what you need to buy, or we advise you on what you need to buy. Now, And most people don't know what a brokerage house is or how to choose one. Now, this is a very popular topic when doing an investment presentation. We have a number of brokerage houses in Jamaica. Now, let me start off by saying, if anyone comes to you and says that they're going to take your money and invest it, if they are not a licensed broker, do not give these people your money. There are a lot of people who are saying, oh yeah, man, so on and so forth. No, do not give people your money if they're not a licensed broker. Everybody is registered with the FSC. You have to have a license before you can do it. There are different types of licenses. You have to have a license to sell insurance. You have to have a license to sell investments. Please, I beg of you, make sure you are aware of who you're giving your money. Now, with that said, how do you choose a broker? Choose a broker with a few different things. One, and the most popular question I get is, how much money do I need to start? It is the money that you can afford to lose. And everybody's going to say, I can't afford to lose any money. But what I mean is, if you are about to put money into an investment that it is what you are going to use to buy your groceries, do not invest it. If it is money that you are going to have, you want a rainy day fund, you want a short-term savings account, you want to ensure you have insurance for future possibilities, and you want to ensure you have something invested for the long term. So the long-term investment money, it can be $2,000, it can be $5,000, it can be $500,000. It is entirely up to you and what your pocket looks like. But you're selecting your broker because some brokers, their minimum opening is $1 million, while other brokers, their minimum opening is $5,000. So you have to choose your broker based on your investment needs. Secondly, you choose your broker based on fees. Some commission rates are 2%. Some commission rates for online trading are 0.5%. So it depends on what, again, suits your pocket. Now you may say, so why would I go with the 2% if I can just go with the 5%? Maybe because their features are different. With the 2%, they're more guided. They're smaller. They give you more information. They advise you more. You can call them on their cell phone and get them. They'll, things like that. So you have to be aware of what suits you. So one of the two of my most popular questions, I think I just answered. How do I choose a broker? And what's my minimum starting? Now, this says, and this bar is blocking me. How do I get rid of this bar? So I can read. So it's what is a stock? And what is a stock? A stock is a type of investment that represents an ownership share in a company. Investors buy stock and they think they will go up in value over time. A single share or stock represents fractional ownership of a company in proportion to the total number of shares. Now, to break it down, imagine there's a pie. You have a pie, the pie is sliced up into many different, slices. Everybody purchases a slice of pie. Now, once you purchase the slice of that pie, you now own the part of the original company, which was the original pie. Now you're going to either hold that for the long term, or you can sell it back for a higher price and make a capital gain. Now, I heard the ladies talking about dividends earlier. For those of you who don't know what dividends is, if you have a slice of pie and the original company that has the pie is making a profit, what they do is most of them, not all, most of them will give you some of their profits to say, hey, thanks for being invested in us. So that's what your dividends is. Now, what you would want to do with your dividends is reinvest it. Now, meaning just putting it back into the company, meaning you're just buying more shares, buying more slices of pie. That's my favorite, my favorite analogy. So it will help over time. Now, there's something called compound interest, where the earlier you start, the better you're going. But that's for another time. Next up, what is the stock exchange? Now, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, for a number of years, not last year, but the year before, we were the best stock exchange in the world. In the world, not in the Caribbean, in the world. Now, this is where they facilitate brokers and traders. They can buy and sell. Is this a question? I see a hand up. Is that a question? Fernica?
No, that's applause. That's applause.
Oh, okay. Now, yeah, you can buy and sell their securities, and all these fancy words that you see me using and all these fancy words that you hear people use literally don't mean anything. They're just simpler words to break down investment. Securities are nothing but investments. There are many different, pretty much one of my favorite things about being in finance is that anything you have can be considered an investment or a security. It is just different ways of breaking it down. So for example, they have securities, which is pretty much the stocks. They have insurance. They have all of these different avenues that helps to make you money or helps you to save money or helps you to build a portfolio. Those are all referred to as securities. Those are all referred to as investments, right? Now, the local stock exchange is called the Jamaica Stock Exchange. They have different branches that work under them, but they are the parent company. All right, so here we go. Yeah, we're talking about the Jamaica Stock Exchange being the top performing stock exchange in the world. Now, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail about this. This usually doesn't interest anybody other than, hey, okay, well, maybe there is something that we can do when we get involved in it. But yeah, we had 233% stock rally, which pretty much means that our performance was not 100%, it was not 200%, it was 233%. Yes, this is in Jamaican dollars, but think about it. If you put 100,000, you go up 233%. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. All right, so reasons why companies raise money. And like I said, if a company needs to go to the market, they're going to raise money. And these are some of the reasons: to develop new products, to buy more advanced equipment, to pay for new buildings, to decrease debt, to fund a merger or an acquisition, to hire more employees. So for those of you who may have heard of the initial public offerings or the IPOs that were a flood in 2019 and was supposed to be 2020, these are some of the reasons why those companies came to market. Why do people buy stocks? No. If you ask anybody why they buy stocks, they're going to tell you so that they can make money. Nobody is buying stocks for any other reason other than they're hoping that the price appreciates. So capital appreciation, which occurs when the stock rises in price. So if you buy something for $1 and it goes up to $2, you of course double your money. You're buying for the dividends payment. So the profit that I had mentioned earlier that they're giving you to say, thanks for giving us money, this is your dividends payment. It's one of the reasons why people buy stocks. So when companies distribute their earnings to the stockholders, which would be me and you, to gain the ability to vote and have influence within a company. Very few people buy stocks for this reason, but there are very major people who buy stocks for this reason. So for example, I'm the CEO of a company. My company is going public. I decide I'm going to see how much money I can buy, how much stocks I can buy, so that I can ensure I have a bigger vote than everybody else, right? Now, the final one, which I think is probably one of the biggest things, is to try and outrun inflation. Now, with a stock portfolio, with any portfolio really, let me just stop saying stock portfolio because wealth management overall is not just stocks. And never ever just have stocks in your portfolio. Always diversify your portfolio. Always try to have multiple avenues of income, this just being one. And you have to make sure that you're paying attention to the money. Do not give somebody your money and go, here, I want X amount of money, make it happen. Don't do that. Don't do that. But you're trying to outrun inflation, which means that, okay, if you know that inflation is 4 or 5%, you know that if you calculate to try and get your portfolio to be 20%, for the year, this is for the year, you can get your portfolio to be 20%, you can minus that 4%, and the difference would be what you would be working with as an increase. Now, it can go in the opposite direction as well, and this is what everybody's afraid of. Okay. Grace Kennedy stock performance. Now this is an older presentation, so our stock performance right now is a lot higher than this. Grace Kennedy is in the $88 range. They just also announced an acquisition of RJR as well. So we're anticipating great things for the Grace stock in the near and long-term future. They have been doing very well in the pandemic to pivot. But all right, so we also do international equities. Not all stock brokerage houses do international equities. We are partnered with an international company. There are international companies that will permit Jamaicans to sign up and buy stocks, buy US stocks on the US market. Now, I am not telling anyone to go and do that if they don't have any knowledge, previous knowledge, but you can link with some of your brokerage houses. I think Sagicor does it. I think Sagicor Investment is one of them as well, that they also do international equities. Some of them have minimum, some of them don't. Find out, you make sure you ask. Right? Yes, okay, Selena says yes, they do international equities as well. One of the things that all persons have to remember, or they have to learn, is that when you are doing your house balancing, so for most people, most women, we are the savers and the budgeters, and we leave the risky business like stocks to the men. Don't do that. And I'm not saying don't trust your husband. What I'm saying is play an active role, get involved, use your household as a business. It is your business. Treat it like a child. You're not going to just say, you know what, here is my child. You do with them what you so choose. No, you want to have a say. You want to make sure that you're involved. You want to make sure that you can definitely take part in their growth. Do the same thing with your wealth management. Make sure that you have the different streams and the growth of it. You want X amount by the end of the year. Now, for some people, you're going to have to spend more time on it. If you're not a numbers person, you can't bother. You may have to just, spend a little bit more extra mental space. I may not be as disciplined as Selena. I don't know who going to the $2,000 dating, kind of rough for me still. But I have other ways of looking into things. I have other streams of income. Warren Buffett was also very big on business acquisitions. You can do, your stock portfolio. You can make sure you have an investment. If you have a side business, you can say, all right, well, that's for my children's future. That is what I'm going to put in my stock account. You can also choose to do different, some people put taxi on the road. Some people have, gardening businesses. It depends on your abilities. Don't just think of this as, boy, me can't do this. Me don't know what you mean. One of the things I always tell my clients, please ensure that whatever company you're purchasing, you have an understanding of that company. For example, NCB, everybody loves NCB. Some people don't, so I shouldn't say that. NCB as a stock, everybody loves NCB. But you are familiar with that company. And as such, you can go into that, looking at that company saying, I understand what this company does. I understand where they get their money. And that, in essence of it, is the basics and where you can start if you want to do investing. Now, let me see. I've had a few more questions that people tend to ask. How do you start a stock account? All you need your TRN, proof of address, source of funds, and a government issued ID, an unexpired government issued ID. You need 4 things. That is it. If your ID is your driver's license, then you don't need a TRN. But that's pretty much it. There are people who have children and they want to leave a legacy for their children. They want to open an account for their children. Yes, you can add your minor child to it, but you'll need their birth certificate as well. And you can start with a simple balance, and you can ask questions and read. You can just pick up the business section and glance through and say, okay, who buying who today? All right, cool. Let me see. All right, NCB buying Guardian. Maybe I should buy some more NCB. And I'm not giving you advice right now, but I'm just stating that these are the types of things that come in the Gleaner. You can always align yourself with people who have an interest. You can ask your friends. Don't take advice from them, but you can ask them where they are investing as well. All right, I think that is the end of my presentation, and I want to know if anyone has any questions for me. I told you it was going to be a short presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Knight, for that presentation on stocks, which I am currently quite interested in. So everyone, the question and answer is open. So please send your questions or raise your hand so that we can get them answered. So I will get us started while we wait for the rest of the questions. What are some of the barriers to stock buy-in? Like why are we always hearing about it, like just on the sweet buy and buy? If we happen to be in a webinar in the right place at the right time, why is it not more, generalized knowledge?
So stocks, it has been around for years and years and years. Unfortunately, there's a common misconception that you have to have a lot of money to be able to make money on the stock market. Now, in previous times that was true, but now with technology, with people having infinite knowledge called the internet, it is making it easier, but there's still that stigma attached to it, and people are afraid, and it is fear, and you don't know where to start, you don't know who to ask, and you get confused, and as such you tend to give up. But anything worth it isn't easy, so you need to just keep pushing on.
Right. How does one go about getting more information on stocks? Not about just like which stocks to buy, but how to read the exchange, because I always hear about a stock exchange and see these pretty graphs and whatnot, and I just be like, oh, okay, time to flip the screen, time to change the page, because you lost me. So is it something that you can just go on YouTube and try and gain the skill, or are there classes, or how?
Oh wow, that is so many questions in one. Okay, let me start. So first of all, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, they have their website, which is jamstockx.com. They have a frequently asked questions section, which they actually do a lot of breaking down of questions that people just want some information. That's one. So there are a lot of local groups, some of which I can name off the top of my head. There's one that happens on the last Friday of every month. They have everybody has YouTube channels now because of COVID. This one's called Stocks on the Rocks. And there's another group called Learn, Grow, Invest. They're both Jamaican. They focus on the Jamaican Stock Exchange. They do different types of, just breakdowns of different, they do the information on real estate and how to understand the market, the budgeting, and so on. I must let you know that I know both of these groups. I'm on some of their webinars, but there are other companies, 876 Invest. There are different groups that you can go on YouTube and watch, and they have classes. There are people locally who do classes. I cannot tell you the prices of these classes, but they do beginners classes. You can search on Twitter, Finance Twitter JA, and you will see some of these persons. They're very popular which is how you can start. Just they give you basic information. They tell you when their classes are. They tell you what workshops they have. There's a young lady that I recently interviewed where she got laid off last year, and she used the Jamaica Stock Exchange as her income until she got another 9 to 5. So she learned how to trade, and she pretty much used it as her income in the interim. So there are ways that people can, if you're not into the sitting down and reading books and books and books, and you want somebody to explain it to you step by step, you can definitely go online and learn from people who have this experience. I feel like there was another part to that question.
Awesome. No, that's what you gave me what I was looking for. So ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't hear that, watch this webinar back. Finance Twitter JA, find those groups and figure out how to get your stocks going. Okay, we have some questions in the chat from Ms. Claudette Barrett. Do you recommend purchasing stocks for short-term or long-term investment?
Both. Nobody has a perfect portfolio. There's no such thing as the perfect portfolio. And one of my recommendations is always You don't want to have 20,000 stocks trying to decide, trying to figure out which stocks, and it's too much. So I normally say you buy 6 stocks, 3 long-term, 3 short-term. And if anything happens, you rebalance once a year. COVID time, we're recommending doing it twice for the year, mid-year and at the end of the year, because any card can play. So you make sure that you have an understanding of short-term stocks. You say, okay, these stocks are the ones I'm going to hold for 6 months. These stocks are the ones I may want to hold on to for the next 10 years. And at the end of the year, you say, you know what? I want to switch one of these short terms to long terms. I want to switch one of these long terms to short term.
Okay, so always reevaluating. All right, thank you, Ms. Knight. There's another question here. So if I had 50,000 to invest as someone new to investments, what would be my first 3 steps?
Your first 3 steps, well, 1, to open a brokerage account. Open a brokerage account would be 1. And 2, for $50,000, I would recommend you select 2 stocks from the stock exchange. Just 2. Just select any 2, do some research. And your third step would be to discuss why you think those 2 stocks would be your best purchase with your financial advisor. And if your financial advisor gives you yes or no, you can then discuss, okay, why not these 2 stocks or why these 2 stocks? But always don't just take someone's word for it. Whatever they tell you, do your research.
Okay, so they would go to a agency like Grace Kennedy or like Sagicor and say, hey, I want to open a brokerage account.
Scotia also has an investment branch.
Or Scotia.
Yeah, I don't know anybody else's minimum opening, so forgive me, but you can definitely contact any one of us, Grace Kennedy, GK Capital, Sagicor Investment, Scotia Investment. All of us have investment houses, and you can find out what their minimum opening is. $50,000, $5,000, I don't know, depends on the company. Yeah, that would be the first step.
And you will just be assigned to a broker. Once you do that, tell them what you want, they will assign you to someone.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so there's another question. This one is from YouTube. How does one, okay, this is kind of what I asked. How does one get a better understanding of the stock, especially in the Jamaican context? So that would be similar to the question that I asked, and unless you want to add something.
Better understanding of stocks or better understanding of the stock market? They're 2 different things. So the stock market is really just the platform that we sell the stocks on. So what there are is a lot of mumbo jumbo and numbers and drafts and things that people don't really understand unless you're more in depth with it. After a while, you actually understand what is going on and you're surprised. I tell you, I didn't start off in finance. So when I started off and I saw these numbers, I went, you people are talking hieroglyphics. And then after a while, I started to understand. But to understand stocks, what you need to start doing is to understand companies and look at their financials and how much money they're bringing in and how much money they have going out. It is literally the same thing as wealth management. It's your assets minus your liabilities. It's what they have retained that makes them a good company. Can they still sustain themselves in 5 years? So that's how you understand the stocks. That's how you know which companies are going to do well. To understand the stock markets, you have to understand which prices are going up and which prices are going down.
Okay, while we rally our last set of questions, any last hurrahs, please send them in. What was I just going to ask? Something about the stocks again. Oh, yes. So what are some common mistakes persons make when getting into stocks?
Common mistakes made is buying stocks because you feel like it. That's one of them. That's probably the most popular. So I feel this company is a good company. Okay, great. That's a great feeling, but what's your evidence? What's your proof? Where, it's because I know, Tommy's sister, uncle, brother, auntie, and she works there and she's really nice. So I know it's a good company. That's not a good reason to buy stocks. Another common mistake is taking advice from people who are not financial advisors. When I was 19, I wanted to open my first stock account. And I said to a friend that at the time that I wanted to open an account, and he said to me, but you're not going to make any money. You don't have enough money to make any money on the stock market. And I never opened that account. I did not open that account, and I regret it every single day. Because I'd be a millionaire by now. I'd be a millionaire. I'd be rich. I'd be wonderful. It depends on, so don't take advice from people who are not licensed. And the third one would be to expect to put in the money and not the work, and then money would just start, just miraculously show. You just want to put in your money and leave it, and it would just then multiply. That's another common mistake. Don't expect that the money is just going to happen, happenstance. It's not going to just happen on itself. You have to actually pay attention to what it is that you're doing.
Okay, thank you so much. We have another question.
Sure.
What is IPO?
IPO is an initial public offering. So when a company is private and they want to start offering shares on the market, they're going to the market for the first time. So it's referred to as an initial public offering, which is an IPO. If a company is already on the market and they want to raise additional capital or basically just get more money from the people, that's called an APO, which is an additional public offering.
All right, thank you. Somebody had a comment. These have been 7 really great webinars. Thank you, ladies. Hope you do it again. Mrs. Marvet from YouTube, Marvet Wade says, very good presentations. I would encourage colleagues to be deliberate about saving and investing. Every mickle, every mickle, muckle. Y'all forgive me, I'm Bahamian, but I heard that in the song before. But I don't.
That's actually the name. There's a guy who named Randy Rose. That's actually the name of his investment class, which is every mickle make a muckle.
Okay. See that? So you all would be able to remember that. I have a question, and if we'll end with my question, if there are no other questions. You were talking about getting information, doing your research on the companies in terms of their financial reports. Where does one find that information? Do you just walk in and say, hey, I need your financial reports for the last 2 years, or where do you get that?
So previously, yes, that's exactly how people used to do it. You used to just walk in and go and collect it. Right now, everything is on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, which is jamstockx.com. So it's jamstockkex.com. And you can go on it and you can type in the name of the company, and you can pretty much see when last they declared dividends. You can see their financial earnings. You can see when last they had their managers, meetings, manager discussions. All of these things, they have a news section. So anytime they come out, anything new or anything interesting that's coming out, new IPOs that are listed, their prospectus, everything is listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. They're quite an active website, very, very active website.
Good information, ladies and gentlemen, the Jamaica Stock Exchange. I can't remember exactly what she said, but I hope you wrote it down or you're prepared to rewind and check it out, okay, to get your information.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to give us a call, or you can email the GK Capital email, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. We try to answer. We're a small team, so we don't unfortunately have the size of like a Sagicor or an NCB or a Burrito, but we try to help people as much as possible, because financial literacy is very, very important. And one of the main streams of income for billionaires is stocks, portfolio income.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Knight, for your very informative presentation on investment portfolios and introducing us to the stocks exchange. I know I'm interested. Okay, so we thank you for that. We thank you to all our presenters that took their time out to give us that wealth of information on wealth management. Ms. Selena Chin, as well as Ms. Lavany Smart, that was here earlier. I think she may have left wonderful information. Okay, so tonight is wrapping up the last installment for the webinar series. We thank you. Okay, thanks you for your participation. And with that said, I will turn this session over to Madam President, Mrs. Garrix Lloyd, to take it home.
Thank you so much, Franika. Thank you so much. I have to tell you that when we conceptualized, I will introduce you to the fundraising committee in just a moment, that this was something we wanted to offer last year. One of the driving forces was that the Nursing Council of Jamaica has asked that all nurses who need to relicense need to have 10 of their 25 hours on infection control. And so our committee wanted to start this off from last year. We got put back a little, but I know that God is an on-time God. And so here we are offering it this time. And it's a lot of behind the scenes work, but it has been a wonderful 3 weeks and a great way to close out, because when we coined the infection control section of it, and I just threw into the spokes and said to the committee, could we do a week of non-nursing, because we do need to have 5 non-nursing hours. And we deliberated on topics and all the things. And really, I have to tell you that maybe I'm not showing it, but I'm really happy and feeling great that not only were persons able to get these hours, but that they were able to enjoy and learn so much from the sessions that they'll be able to apply. And so, as we have been doing as well, today is our last of the 7 sessions, and we have been just trying to share a little bit about Sigma and Omega Kappa for each session, because we don't know when we have somebody who never heard before and will be looking us up. So I want to say that Sigma Theta Tau International Honor Society of Nursing is our parent group, and we are the Omega Kappa chapter of Sigma. Now, we had 2 brain teasers today. It was so nice. We had to do it twice. And when I looked at all the responses in Zoom and on YouTube, I was like, there was only one person who attempted to answer both of them, and she didn't get the second one correct. So if anybody wants to have a quick look as we close out, Tim is 9 years older than Pam. Pam is 2 years younger than Rob. Tim is 17. Amanda is 7 years younger than Rob. How old are Pam and Amanda? I just want to give a big shout out over on YouTube to Antoinette Graham, here in Zoom, to Venice Henry Williams, and to Anieladis Hernandez. Hope I got your name correct. Who guessed correctly? Anybody want to tell me now? How old do you think they are? So I thought it was prudent that we did math today, since we are looking at wealth management and it involves calculating. I saw Miss Chin get out her calculator to show us how she saved that money. So I want to let you know that Pam is 8 and Amanda is 3. And then we got this brain teaser for number 2. Which of the following have the same value? And I thought people must have been busy writing down. And we got several more answers for brain teaser number 2. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, the correct answer would be number 2 and number 5. So nobody got that one correct. So have a quick look again. It's number 2 and number 5. They have the same value. But I do want to thank everybody for participating in our brain teasers for these last 3 weeks. We've had a few winners, and we just want to say thank you so much. So just a little bit more now about Sigma. So in 1922, we had some nursing students who said, you know what, we need to have something to do that complements nursing that we're studying. And they were brave enough and had courage enough and had love and honor enough, those are our Greek words, to create Sigma Theta Tau International. And they were at the university, Indiana University Training School for Nurses. So of course, our headquarters is now in Indianapolis in the United States. And we are a nonprofit organization that is comprised of just over 135 active nurses with over 540 active chapters, and we are across 100 countries. Now, our vision at Sigma is that we want to have connected, empowered nurse leaders transforming global healthcare And we've been working assiduously to ensure that we're developing nurse leaders anywhere to improve healthcare every single place and any place that we can. Now, how do you join? Usually it's by invitation, or you could go right ahead to the Sigma website and apply to join a chapter if you found one where you are. If you are an undergraduate student, you need to be enrolled in a nursing program or its equivalent. You need to be meeting academic excellence based on whatever criteria your institution has. Should be in the highest 35% of your nursing class, should have completed at least a half of your curriculum. And for those of us who may have transitioned from being registered nurses before it was a bachelor's program, if you are doing the RN to BSN, we ask you to have completed at least 12 credits. If you are a graduate student, we want you to have completed at least a quarter of your curriculum, also to have achieved academic excellence based on the criteria, and certainly we expect you to meet the academic integrity standards. And now for our nurse leaders, we ask that you are legally recognized to practice in your country, have a minimum of an undergraduate degree or the equivalent, and demonstrate what your achievements have been in nursing. Through Sigma and through all of our chapters, there is career mentorship, access to nursing professional development courses. Some are paid, a lot of it is free. We have access to the e-repository. There is a wealth of information involved in there. The opportunity to publish. Sigma has 2 of the highest ranked nursing journals. The opportunity to access research grants and grants for other purposes. There are even subsidies for members to renew and to pay their fees each year, the opportunity to network with over 135,000 members over 100 countries. It's amazing. The opportunity to volunteer locally and within Sigma. And of course, we have several webinars and conferences. With the pandemic, Sigma has gone virtual as well, and they are pledging that when the pandemic is, well, I don't know if it will be over, but certainly at a better stage before we get finished, that they will be keeping the options to have virtual when you choose to join. And so Omega Kappa chapter was created, well, the idea came about over 25 years ago. The Right Honorable Syringa Marshall Burnett, I believe, who joined Sigma when she went overseas, had the idea to bring it here to Jamaica, wanted something awesome for us nurses. It took some work, it didn't pan out as she hoped. And then about 8 years or so ago, 9, maybe 10, or Professor Kawa at the US School of Nursing, Mona, and then our immediate past president, Mrs. Pauline Anderson Johnson, who went ahead and said we have to put the work in, and they also were members of Sigma, and they wanted us to have a chapter here. So we became the Caribbean Honor Society of Nursing, and then we had to go by the guidelines and the bylaws of Sigma and apply to become a chapter. And so we were officially chartered on the 30th of May in 2019, and we became the Omega Kappa chapter of Sigma. We are chapter 560. Now, while we're located at the US School of Nursing, Mona, we are geographically placed, all our membership, we are in Jamaica, in the Bahamas, in Trinidad and Tobago. We have members in the US and in the United Kingdom, and we have nursing leaders across education and clinical practice, and we do have nursing students as well. This would be a group of us at our chartering in May 2019. We were just happy to celebrate, and we wanted to share a little bit of what we've been doing and who we are. This was the Sigma Convention in 2019, proudly wearing our colors, participating in the Guardian 5K, in the International Coastal Cleanup Day. That's me with a group of my nursing students then who are now RNs who were chartered with us. We have an annual Mental Health Day conference on World Mental Health Day on October 10 each year. We also have our annual health fair in August. It's usually 2 days where we do medicals and vaccinations and eye checks and referrals for students from a primary school within our geographic location and one school at special needs. We also were featured last year on the on-campus program. So we were on RGR, and then last year in July, we had our first annual webinar, which looked at COVID and its impact across nursing. That's us on the left, looking very pretty after the health fair. Can't believe we would have been tired. And on the right, we were out for the launch of the Year of the Nurse and the Midwife in Jamaica. And these pictures are our virtual induction in December of last year. we decided that whether we were meeting or not, we were going to have some new members joining us. And so I want to extend on behalf of our chapter a very, 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 very big thank you to all our presenters across these 7 sessions. Mr. Jeremy Edwards, who has been our behind the scenes creator of our flyers, we want to thank him so much. All our members of Omega Kappa. We've had some who have doubled as moderators and as presenters. And I'd like to ask our fundraising committee, should you be here? Mrs. Heather Silvera, Mrs. Sandra Morris, Mrs. Sandra Chisholm Ford, Mrs. Olivia Williams Coombs, Mrs. Zeta Mulrain, and Mrs. Sophia Reed Matthews. If you can just open your cameras and wave to everybody, I want to acknowledge our fundraising committee and the awesome job that they've done. So I hope that you're seeing them over here on Zoom and over on YouTube. Please let's just give them a virtual round of applause for a wonderful job that we've had. And certainly we could not have had these 7 sessions if we did not have you in attendance. Now we understand that other persons wanted to attend. We had the registration open. The logistics and the administrative side of it was quite tedious, but we have decided that it was worth it. We thank you for joining us. Some persons have been here for all 7 sessions, and we truly appreciate that you have come in, you have learned, and you'll be taking away, and certainly that you'll be sharing. I also want to thank you for encouraging us as Omega Kappa to figure out another way to put ourselves out there and to share. So when we started this webinar, I think the very first one got streamed over onto my YouTube channel, which I've had inactive, because as you'll soon find out, mental health is my love, and that's what I intend to use it for. But it gave me the idea that as a chapter, we could have our own YouTube channel, and certainly we'll be putting out more information. And so the persons who have already subscribed, thank you so much. If you've missed the sessions, tell your colleagues it's over on our YouTube channel and you can find it. So look out for other webinars that we'll be having as we go along. Not all of them are paid. We will also host this very series again, perhaps with different topics or based on the request, some of the same ones in October, because these sessions will help the nurses who need to relicense in June. The one in October will help those who need to relicense in December. So tell your colleagues we're coming back again. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and certainly when you subscribe to our channel, you'll be able to find us. So again, I want to say a very big thank you. Sigma, nursing.org is where you'll find our parent organization. You can find our chapter, omegakappa.sigmanursing.org. We are Omega Kappa Chapter of Sigma on Facebook, Omega Kappa Caribbean on Instagram, and on YouTube, we are the Omega Kappa Chapter of Sigma. You may find us too at our email, omega.kappa.chapter560@gmail.com. And I want to close off by saying, as we will not perhaps see each other again in this forum, I want to extend coming up in the next several weeks to all our RNs and our RMs or RNMs here, a very happy International Day of the Midwife on the 5th of May when it comes. To all our colleagues who are here on the 12th of May, everybody forgets us because it's caught up in Teachers' Day and Mother's Day, but it's the birthday of Florence Nightingale, and International Nurses Day is always on her birthday on May 12th. So on behalf of Omega Kappa, we want to wish you too a happy International Nurses Day when it comes. For those of us who are educators, a very happy Teachers' Day when that comes around. And for those of us who are moms, a very happy Mother's Day. And for the persons who fall in all these categories, enjoy all of May. And I have to give a shout out here to my friend and colleague, Mrs. Chisholm Ford, who also has a birthday and takes the entire 2 weeks to have a jolly good time.
Yay to me.
So I want to close off. These are the words that were shared with us this week from our CEO, Dr. Elizabeth Madigan. She's encouraging us to never forget the light that we bring, the difference that we make, and the lives that we change. And I just wanted to just share quickly 2 things with you, if it will come up. Let's see. That's a big round of applause for all of you. And then I'd also like to just go right back. And say to you, oh wait, I forgot one last thing I wanted to share with you. Just quickly, for each of you on all the days that you will celebrate, this one is for you. I'd like to share a rose with all of you. Take one or take two, but walk away today with a rose to thank you for supporting us and to celebrate all the days you have coming up, the special ones, but never forget that being alive and healthy is special every single day. So we just want to thank you once again for joining with us and for being a part of our series. My apologies for that. And we just want to thank you for sharing with us again and ask you to remember to keep safe, to maintain your protocols as nurses and colleagues. We also want to encourage you, keep at the education and encouraging. And certainly I would not be leaving without saying, let's remember to keep praying for our nation. And we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And the last thing I want to say today, we were happy to close out our infection control session with a wonderful quiz and just a reminder of all we learned. But today I want to say we had 3 awesome presentations to help us with managing our wealth. But I really want to say if I had a prize today, it would go to our moderator. Madam Fernica, you did an amazing job. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So to all of us, have a wonderful evening. See you again when we have our next session and have a great, great evening. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone.